Because it wasn't live, which is weird. It is. Did it change something? So it's something weird over here. Alright, that one's live. That was weird. So get rid of that. Oh. Alright. What happened there? Okay. That was bizarre. Anybody see the gurney thing? Anybody's paying attention? So I guess I can scoot this back a little bit. Back. Good morning. Good morning. Let's see. Good morning. Appreciate that. Just doing my little warm up here, filling in some of the gaps on the sketchbook page. I like to take these pages and just like fill them all the way up to the maximum level, and let's see. Are you the only one there? Is that what you're trying to say over there? I appreciate that. It's very generous of you to say so. I've got my kind of daily warm up. I come on for about an hour, about halfway through that. Where am I from? I live in Richmond, Virginia. So it is first thing in the morning here. It's 8 o'clock. And, teach illustration and art at a university here. From Morocco, huh? Yeah, Africa. Right? No, wait, that's not Africa. Where is that? Thinking Madagascar all of a sudden. But I'm not that familiar with Morocco. Yeah, okay. Just don't maybe know exactly where Morocco is in Africa. My brain was thinking Madagascar when you said that, but I might have confused myself. The painting is caught your attention. Well, this is the whole sketchbook page. So there's the whole thing. So I like to get up in the morning and practice a bit and warm up for the day. So no matter what happens, at least I get some drawing done. Um, Hello. Well, this is just my morning study. So I'll spend about an hour. So some of these figures take about an hour each, and then I've been kind of gradually filling in the pages. So I like to do that just in general as a practice, where I kind of go in and fill things in. So but yeah, so that's kind of what I'm doing in the morning. But I appreciate that. I see so many people over there chatting over on Kick. Yeah, I'm still just kind of reeling. There was a Substack. Does everyone know who James Gurney is? Um, I responded to his post on Facebook that he linked to, but it was such a bizarre response. A female broadcaster streams every day, huh? Am I allowed to if I'm not a female streamer? Okay, so I'm still kind of thinking about that. It'd sleep okay once I put the post up, but good morning. I appreciate that. Have a good one. Appreciate you stopping in, commenting. All right, I'm gonna put in there. Yeah, I like to go in and like fill in every single gap. These typewriters would be fun to stick in there. Good morning. I appreciate that. Let's see, we're going for 40 minutes. All right, let's look at 20. Just kind of going through and filling in my gaps on the page. So, go back up to the top. There. Are you okay over there, Bosch? All right. Put a big tiger face in here, so maybe it'll fit okay. Yeah, back up and make sure to fit his eye over here, and over there. Good morning. Can I draw Charlie Kirk? Probably not. I can draw what I want to draw. Let's see. Can you? That's the question, right? Seems like that's an old meme now. I appreciate that. Let's see. Teeth. Where's the dog? What's he doing? What you doing, Bosch? The dog is zipping around. Hey, puppy.
Why don't you come lay down?
There we go. Good. Charles who? I don't know who that is. You have a lot of very specific requests. I tend to just draw my own thing. That's kind of my thing. Is just draw my own thing. I don't even do fan art, so pretty rare for me to draw even other people's stuff at all, outside of practice thing, doing actual copy work. Hello. Lots of kick activity today. Interesting. Usually it's just thoughts, which is annoying. Is it because it's Monday? I appreciate that. Just filling up my sketchbook. This is kind of my morning warm up, and I like to do this because partially because the sketchbook is so expensive. So Stillman and Byrne Zeta sketchbook, so they're pretty expensive. Um, I like to fill in all the gaps. I will appreciate you coming in and checking things out. Um, I don't know who that is. Oh yeah, just the hardest part about art is picking up a pencil and putting it down on paper. That's what I like to point out to my students that the only thing holding them back is themselves. And okay, I've visited Rocky Mountain College of Art and Design. I applied to teach there a long time ago, back in I think it was 2019. Did an interview and presentation there. I met a figure drawing teacher there. He went to the same graduate school that I went to, New York Academy of Art. Um, that's the only person I really remember. It's older, so it's hard. Well, actually, sometimes it's easier when you're older. It's harder when you're out of school. Obviously, I always tell students that once you're kind of out of school, I'm teaching some seniors right now. Once you're kind of out of school, it can be a big challenge to find the time to focus. You've got a job and you've got a family and life. Turn 48 tomorrow. Okay, well, I turned 48 this year too. Um, and I'm planning on trying to start some new things this year that I'm working on. Been working on a comic book, and I've never ever done comics in my entire life. I mean, I've done a few pages for myself as a practice, um, but I've never actually been published as one. Done a small amount of relatively of storyboarding. Um, and when I originally did, I didn't know anything about it really. So probably made a lot of mistakes that were obvious to other people, but I was completely oblivious to. But the big problem with doing art is just finding consistent time to do things, in a consistent place. So if you have a spot at home that you can kind of dedicate to practice and working and building something, then that can make it much more possible um, to actually get something interesting done. That's the big thing, is just having a place, I think, and a time and a project. Other things can follow, like it's good to have like mentors and instruction and things like that. Um, but the first thing you really got to have is a place and a time on a regular schedule. Having a project just makes it easier, so when you're sitting down, you're not randomly doing something. You're actually um, you're actually in pursuit of an activity. So when you sit down, you know exactly what you're going to do. It's like my goal here is I'm just kind of pulling from a lot of reference. See, that's good. So, set up a spot with your supplies and your working space, and you're good to go, right? So if you could spend, 2 or 3 hours, a day or every couple of days, I think you'd be surprised how far you'd be by the beginning of next year. Especially if you know where you kind of want to go with something, whether it's painting or illustration or whatever. So that's good. Um, yeah, I teach at Virginia Commonwealth University. I actually went down to Ringling. I didn't get the offer from Rocky Mountain. I think I actually might have said something inappropriate during one of my presentations. Um, and it was funny because I was living in Pennsylvania at the time, flew out there, and I drank so much water from that day from so much talking that I had to make an emergency stop. The librarian was driving me to the airport, and we had to like find a bathroom. It took a minute to find one, which was really bizarre. Denver's a big city, and took a minute to find a place. But I was about ready to explode. Like I was no way I was going to make it to the airport without peeing my pants. And she didn't like. I don't think she really believed me, but I was very insistent. um, and gosh, um, but yeah, I almost missed my flight. Um, they scooted me ahead in the line to get in, but it was a close call, and I'm very glad I did stop because that would have been a mess. And my new take, I've been streaming on here for a while. Not sure if it has like my name date on there. I stream through OBS through multi-streaming, so I'm actually over on YouTube, Twitch, Kick, and D Live. Though I think I got shadow banned on D Live. They switched their content allowance format or something. I think I was doing some figure drawing or something, and they did not approve. So, um, but I was actually kind of happy I didn't get hired there. I went down to Ringling, which I think is a much better school. Um, they've got some really amazing people teaching there. I'm not there anymore. The Florida weather was killing me. I think I would have preferred Denver weather, the mountains and that. Out here, where is out here? Is that the Morocco place or is that something else? But um, person from Morocco, I don't remember. Yeah, but I set up streaming stuff a long time ago, and then I was like, oh, you can multi-stream through OBS, so I thought I would try it. Not that. No, I'm not from Pennsylvania. I'm not really from anywhere. I was born in California, Southern California. My dad, he was United States military, Marine Corps, so we moved around a lot. Um, and now I'm living in Virginia. I teach at Virginia Commonwealth University. Um, but I kind of moved to Pennsylvania. I was with SCAD in Hong Kong, and after leaving that position, I was fired with a whole bunch of other people. They were, I guess, cleaning house or something, and they picked me, which was funny because like I had like 3 years left on my visa, so it's kind of expensive for them to do that. But I moved to Pennsylvania because it's like, oh, it's kind of between New York and and Philly and DC. And so if I wanted like access to the art world of that stuff, then I could do that more easily. It turned out I didn't really do that very much, but I found like a really cool studio, and I was teaching part time at one school for a year, and then I was adjunct or temporary full time at another school for a semester, and then I got the opportunity down at Ringling, so I moved down there just before the COVID struck, and anyway, so I spent 4 years down there teaching. Yeah, so that's kind of a bit of my background. So it's I've been here and there. So I don't really kind of think of myself as being from anywhere per se. My mother, recently widowed mother, she lives in Utah, but so I go back out west every once in a while. Um, yeah. So, but I worked with like video game companies, worked with art galleries. I've kind of done a broad variety of things, which kind of actually makes me kind of weird as a teacher because my experience goes beyond the typical one. I was say I was glad I didn't get hired at Rocky Mountain. Like when they told me kind of how they teach and how the school is structured and how much they teach and how little they pay, it became very unattractive to me. So I was actually okay when they didn't offer me the spot. Um, compared to other schools, even Denver's not like a cheap place to live. It was like less than 60. I think it was like $55,000 a year or something. It was some really low amount. Well, I appreciate it. I'm not a young guy, right? So I've been doing this for a while. I'm actually trying to kind of lock in some kind of inking style. I'm working on a comic book pitch, and I spent a good chunk of the weekend kind of roughing out most of a first issue, along with some cover ideas and some other kind of sequences so I can put together a pitch. And so yeah, it just it just was like it was. I was actually starting. It was kind of a weird timing too because I was applying for spots because that's what I've been doing for a while. But I was also doing a ton of freelance at the time, and right when they turned it down, or right after the interview, was actually when a bunch of that freelance started happening, and so I think if they'd offered it, I would have turned it down anyway because like they teach a ton. It's almost year round. I think you get maybe like one because they have really short semesters. Like they're not even quarter. Like SCAD at least has 10-week quarters, um, which is still not a lot of time. But um, but it's a lot. I think it was longer than the because I think it was like 5 week systems or something like that they had. Plus half the students are online, which I don't know about an art school program where you can take the entire course of study without actually being in a studio. So I think one of the advantages you have to in-person education is having that teacher there looking over your shoulder. It's not that online education is bad. Like I have my own little teaching site, myartprofessor.com, but I think it has its place. But I think it's really hard to replace the actual teacher-student in-person experience, especially for certain kinds of subjects. Like might work for some subjects, but I don't think it works for all of them. And I think Rocky Mountain said like 50% of their students were online, like 100% of the time, or something like that. And that just didn't seem appropriate to me. Um, so so um, um, oh, we just hit the hour mark. Oh, look, there's our first bot of the day. Yeah, I think it's a weird, it was a weird situation. So and it costs a lot too. So it's not like it's cheap. Let's see, let's get this guy banned. Bot. All right, it's done. Yeah, so I think that's a big problem. Is just that that's part of it because part of education is time, and I even think semesters, depending on the course, it's just not a lot of time, and and so in order to master your skills, you kind of just got to put in, it's got to be smartly done time. Oh, Arm was, well, that's good. At least you didn't go into debt, right? I went into some pretty good debt for my graduate degree at New York Academy, but it's gone now because I've been teaching universities for so long. It was forgiven a year and a half ago, or a little over a year ago, which was a big relief, for me, because it was a lot of money living in New York and studying at that school, New York Academy. It's a private school, just like Rocky Mountain is, except it's in New York City. I think it costs less though than what Rocky Mountain would have cost at the time I went. But plus, it's only 2 years, not 4-ish. Yeah, if I had some other, if I had like the military paying for it, I would have gone. You know, well, for undergrad, or recommend people go to more, the more expensive places if the military is going to cover it. Um, Yeah, I think the first thing is just kind of practicing. So something you like doing. If you're not certain where to start, one of the things I like to say is copy work is really smart. I've done a ton of that. So just copying works by artists that you like, and we have so much access to that stuff online now. Um, and if you're not sure where to start, that's a good place. And of course, you could always, go to my little teaching site and sign up for a subscription over there. I've got it's mostly perspective stuff right now. There's one more course I want to finish up before I jump into like some concept stuff that I've been doing here. I've got a ton of video content for, or that I want to. I know how to kind of put it all together because I've tested it out. One thing I like to point out is that my courses that I have online, they're a little bit different than you get like at Schoolism or New Masters Academy or something, because my goal is to kind of build it as a complete system. Because I've taught so many things, I know kind of how all of it connects together properly. And so, if you're doing perspective, I'm not just doing perspective, it's perspective in the context of design. Or later on, we'll do concept art, but we'll also be practicing that perspective along with anatomy and other things, or figure drawing course, that kind of thing. So, it's actually in the bottom right of the screen. Yeah, so I have a super zoom camera over my head, uh, and so yeah, once in a while, like I lean forward to catch a detail or get out of the. Sometimes there's a little bit of glare where the paint is, where the ink is wet, and so my head will pop in front. So I'm trying to like, did I put something there? It's a newer lens I got this fall. I used to have to like swap lenses, and this blends. I think it goes down to I think 15 or 10 millimeters, all the way up to 210, I think. Um, so it's nice because I can just leave it up there. I can zoom out to the whole desk, get a broad view, or yeah. But yeah, it looks like if you're looking for like a course study, that's what I have over there. It's stuff I taught. Well, there's two sets of courses. One's like a super intensive perspective course. The other one is moderately intensive, but but it was designed for freshmen at Ringling who are doing motion design, and it's projects that kind of use perspective not just as learning perspective, especially once you get past the first kind of basic course, which I added some stuff to recently, but it teaches design principles too. And so, yeah, the link's in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. So myartprofessor.com. And I need to. I'm working on. Been working trying to get into the story of this comic, and then as soon as I kind of get that done, I'm gonna be back working on that site a bunch. Um, there is some free stuff there, so if you show up on the site, there's a little pop-up that says, sign up for the email. When you do that, it gives you access to a free set of lessons. So I host stuff on Vimeo, and so I might need to change all of that, which would be a big hassle, moving all the videos over and relinking them. And there's a ton of videos, so I need to kind of look into that, see what's going on with Vimeo, because I know they got bought recently. I don't know how that's going to affect what I have there, but I think I might have to take some time, spend like a week or a couple of really, really focused, locked-in days, relinking everything, finding a video host. I have lots of student examples on the site, so the things students have done when I was teaching that course, and so you can see kind of what other people have done there. Should just create a command for people to just type in and click. I don't understand what that means. Yeah, so if you haven't checked that out, please check that out. Let me know what you think. I try to get up here, first thing in the morning. I'm actually want to start getting a start a bit earlier than I have been. I've been taking the morning just a little bit slower than I think I'd like. Let's see, this was 26:0126, right? And, same thing down here. 26:0126. I also like to mark down kind of where I get stuff, but yeah. So it's been a little bit over an hour. Okay, I'll have to look into that. I'm not familiar with that option. So kind of set stuff up a while ago, and I haven't really looked into chat specific things, but I do have that kind of thing sort of set up on Instagram. So if you go to Rainland Studios on Instagram, which is my illustration account, if you type like comic in or lessons into something, it'll send them a chat, a DM that will automatically kind of get them hooked up with stuff. And it's kind of a one that's like legitimately for Instagram, like it's approved by them, but that I set up a while ago. Yeah, again, I have the link there right in the corner though too, so that, it is that option as well. But I'll look into that command for kick, probably for other things too. I just haven't looked into it. But yeah, thanks everybody that came in, and we'll talk to you all later. All right. Well, I will have to look into